Hi, my name is Percy and I'm on the staff at the Hanson Public Library, and I'm going to show you a little craft that you can do at home today. This is part of our Hygge at Home series, which is a Danish concept all about sort of just having fun and taking rest in your life. So one of our crafts was for the month of May was making these little woven coasters. So I'm going to show you a little bit about weaving and how you are able to do that at home and make something a little bit like this. So really the materials that you need for this are pretty simple. Yarn, you can use any yarn color that you'd like to use. Embroidery floss is what we'll use for the warp threads. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Optional, but popsicle sticks can be helpful to help sort of lift up your weaving project, and scissors and cardboard. And you'll also need a little bit of tape as well when you're setting up the board. So really you're gonna wanna cut. For making your loom at home, you can make one out of cardboard. We just have a few sheets. This is prepped into a loom. We also used hot glue here to stick these pieces together. So you want your piece to be a little bit wider than your finished piece is going to end up being, and you want it to be longer as well because you're gonna give space for tying off the loose ends. That's going to be how the piece stays together at the end. On both ends, on the narrow ends of your loom, you're going to cut notches along. So it doesn't really matter how many notches you make. For these, we had about 16 notches. You do need an even number of notches because you want an even number of pieces of string to tie off into pairs. And you want them about a ½ centimeter apart. That's just going to make it a tighter stitch. You can't have them too far apart. And then these little strips of cardboard here and here help to raise up your warp threads, and that's going to help make the weaving process a little bit easier because you're going to be able to get under the warp threads easier. So to string your loom, you're going to take the little notches that you cut into the cardboard, and you're going to use the embroidery floss, and you're just going to really wrap it. You're going to tuck it right in to the notch like that. And then you're gonna go all the way across to the other side. And you want it tight enough that like you can kind of pluck it almost like a guitar string, but you don't want it so tight that it's gonna like snap or anything like that. So you don't need to worry about it being overly tight. And then you're going to just come around the back of the notch that you cut. You might need to recut with scissors if it's not coming through, and then just across, under, across, like so, until you've strung the whole thing. To keep the end of the embroidery floss stuck to the cardboard, we just used a little piece of Scotch tape on the back, so you can use a piece of tape to do that. So once you've got your loom completely strung, it's going to look a little bit like this. We have a popsicle stick here, and I'm going to show you how that can be used to help with the weaving as well. So we've started weaving a little bit with this white yarn and then started with the purple. If you want to have stripes on your coaster or whatever kind of piece that you're making, all you need to do is just finish a line and then just cut and then continue on where you left off, just with a new color. So when you're using the popsicle stick on the loom, you can just take it and turn it up like that. And I'll show it a little bit. So you can see that the strings are raised up more, and it's giving you more space just to sort of weave the yarn easily. So it's a pretty simple, just over, under, over, under. So where we left off, we had gone under on this side, so we're gonna go over it and then under, and you can just kind of pull across all of these the way it is with the popsicle stick. It is harder to do standing up, I promise. So over and under, just across the row. And you don't need to worry too much about where it's falling in terms of the depth on the coaster yet. You'll fix that towards the end of your row. So now you can see we've made it across. And then you can take the popsicle stick and turn it down flat, because that's going to help you with this part where you're pulling it down. And you want to pull it so it's meeting the last row that you did. And then you will just continue on again, over, under, going across the piece until you've filled up your loom. And then you're just going to be snipping ends and tying off and tucking under at the very end to make your coaster. Now these, we got just some basic like cork backing. You can get at like a craft store, you can buy online, and that really makes the tying off bit a lot easier because you don't need to worry about how neat it looks underneath. You can just really just stick one of these on there and forget about what the bottom of it looks like, and you only need to make one side of it look neat. But pretty much those are the main materials. You can also make what's called a shuttle out of cardboard, and that's going to help you bring your yarn through more easily. But you can also very easily do this by hand. So you can make coasters, but you can also make really any kind of weaving projects you want to make. It's about making the loom the right size to your project. But as long as you have enough cardboard and yarn, really the limit is your imagination. So feel free to check out the Hanson Library's website. Every month we do a different take and make craft, and we'll give you all the materials you need to make something like this at home. It's called Hygge at Home. So take a look for those. We offer them every month for adults on our calendar.